Unplugged with Nicki Marie, midweek mashup, even though it's Friday. Who cares if it's midweek or not, right? We still need a midweek mashup. We're talking about things potentially that have been on our minds all week, midweek perhaps. So this is not impromptu today. I want to just sit here and have a therapeutic moment with you all. Because I talked to a few mom friends this morning, and it turns out we're all, for some reason, whether it be the moon and the stars and the alignment of things right now, we're all feeling the same way, which is just like overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. And that doesn't mean that we are mad, complaining. It just means we don't have the toolkit to process all the things that are going on right now. So I want to let you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you unable. That doesn't make you emotionally wrecked. I just said that and I'm like, well, also a little emotionally wrecked at times. But we're doing a lot right now. We're at the pace in this world that I don't feel this pace is sustainable. So I figured I'd come on here and share with you as much as I can without giving up the privacy of my own family, because that's one thing I always want to think about is, how would my daughter feel if I was telling this story about her? So I'm going to tell you a story from mom to mom about me this morning. I am going to own the fact that I'm a bit of an enabler to the people around me. There's a bit of this acts of kindness and taking care of things and being there to support the ones around me. Let's just say my kids. I want them to feel so good at home that they can take out that goodness into the world. And like, here's the thing, parents, those of you who are like me, we're doing that thing. They're amazing. School, friendships, around other parents, coaches, all of it. It's just behind four walls. If we're all being real, there's some moments that happen that we would not admit to anyone else. Shaking my head. If you're just listening to this on audio, I'm doing the frantic cartoon head shake. Had a moment with my daughter this morning. Had a moment with my co-parent last night. Had a moment with my son the night before. And when those moments bottle up into a bigger thing, there can be one little thing that happens and you feel like you want to explode because your threshold is only so much as an individual that you can take on. So let's be honest with ourselves. We have those steamboat moments. There was an entire TikTok trend. So those of you who are not on TikTok, I'm going to do you a favor. You don't have to go on TikTok. I think TikTok is a time warp. I don't even like it that much. I just happen to have 2.2 million followers on there that I care about. Otherwise, whoa, get off of TikTok. Okay. But there is a trend. Pardon my sniffles. I cried a few times this morning. Sniffles is still there. There was a trend going around where this teenage young woman got on her phone, looked at the camera, and was like, guys, you wouldn't even believe what just happened. I was just in the bathroom and my mom started banging on the door and she told this story that she intended on it to be this relatable daughter to daughter, teenager to teenager moment, right? Of how her mom was like, just bring the pink things out. You heard me, get out of there, right? Like, so her mom had this intolerant, I'm done with you moment. This young woman shared the story and also said how all of a sudden her dad was at the door, get out of there, bring the pink things that your mom asked for. And now there's this entire trend that's called pink tote mom. We are now labeling this stranger, a teenager. We're labeling her mom as a pink tote mom. And now there are women, grown women who had issues of trauma, neglect, like all these big emotionally things that they experience. And they're putting this label of pink tote mom. I had a pink tote mom. It was the worst. And I never want to be a pink tote mom. And oh my God, I yelled at my daughter this morning. I must be a pink tote mom. I just want to slow everyone down. There are two different things. One, there are kids who grow up in absolute toxic environments, abuse. I am not downplaying that at all. I'm looking directly at the camera. That is a major, major problem. It is a place where I don't know what to say, but thank goodness we are pushing people to get therapy and to heal past traumas and to cycle break. I don't take that lightly. And then the other side of things is this whole social media world where we entangle our own selves into other people's stories and put some of this victim mentality on ourselves. The comparison is, so why I'm telling you this story is I shared a post and I said, if you haven't had a pink tote moment as a mom of a daughter, or as a mother, do you even have a daughter? Because sometimes our daughters react behind four walls in a way where they're close to mom. They feel comfortable with you. You're their safe place. Sometimes they take things out on you or talk to you a certain way where they shouldn't. And it's our jobs to set boundaries and teach them that enough is enough. Set boundaries for ourselves, correct the behavior, gentle parent whenever we can, meaning set boundaries, set rules, correct the behavior, walk through it, be available to walk through it after self-regulating. And then there are other times that we did not, I'll use the toolkit example again. We did not take out all the tools in the toolkit to say, I'm self-regulated to have this conversation. Sometimes enough is enough, the pink toe moment. Get the kid out of the kid, I'm gonna lose it on you. You better get upstairs. And you pound the feet and you pretend you're chasing them. I grew up with a pink tote mom, and I am just realizing how much good it did for me. And again, like I said, don't put me in a corner and say, oh, Nicki said it's good to yell at your kids. I did not say that. I said that sometimes enough is enough, and we have to set boundaries and teach our kids strong communication. Okay. So, anyway, the trends online are crazy. There's also a mom fight between these women who are influencers, and women are now going crazy because these two sisters launched a pajama set that are $98. And women are outraged. How dare you? How dare you? Oh, how dare you? Listen, we choose the way we want to see the world. And I think so many of us are choosing to write this whole story about another person based on an online presence or social media or the media. You saw the political situation of how we feel like we want to just be on one side or the other. You don't have to buy into that, guys. You don't have to buy into all the labels and the titles and the topics. Like, it might, if I'm going to summarize everything I just said for the past 8 minutes, I was rambling for 8 minutes. That's crazy. If I want to summarize everything, it's look in the mirror, do the work, talk to people openly, vulnerably, who are there to protect you, whether it's a therapist or a specialist or someone who is a professional in the field of what you need help with. Do not go to the internet to vent your problems, to seek advice. Do the work yourselves. And I'll tell you who I went to this morning after my pink tote mom. I can't even believe I'm labeling it. After my Nicki and daughter moment that I dwelled on all morning. It's 11 a.m. I've been dwelling on this since 8:20 a.m. I had a tough moment with my daughter. I am the type of person who will emotionally sponge that and bring it with me throughout the day. So guess who I went to? I went to Matt, my high performance coach, and I went to Super Nanny. And I said to both of them, I wish I could share this with so many other people who need it. Because sometimes you need those people. And I am so thankful that I have these people in my pocket dial. You know what I mean? So I want to give that to you. That's my whole point, is I want to give you some of that stuff to remind you you're not alone. whatever you see online, Nicki dancing, Nicki happy, Nicki and her daughter bonding. I'm you. I'm you. I'm you. We all have the happy moments. We all have the hard moments. I would share more with you if I could. I would share every single detail of every single struggle I had if I could. And the reason I can't is because I care about my family's privacy. Right? That sounds funny from a woman who's like sharing doses of her life online. Anyway, I was going to wear red today, and I had this whole story about me wearing red, and then I put on a black hoodie. So there goes that. My first note, wearing red today. Not wearing red today. I talked about TikTok already. ADHD is flaring up this week. I have the Trello board. I don't know if you listened to my last ADHD podcast. It was like a midweek mashup rant about ADHD, and I talked about my Trello board. I'm not going to lie. I'm like 4 weeks into the Trello board, and I keep changing my mind about what I want each to-do list or each action item list block calendar. How many of you with diagnose ADHD? Okay, don't just say, "Oh my God, I must have ADHD because I'm overwhelmed too." Don't do that to yourself. If you're really concerned about it, get yourself an evaluation. Okay, so I'm talking to this either diagnosed ADHD or a person who's just shit with decision making, time management, because both of those things do not need to mean ADHD. So anyway, my time management warped women and men. I had the Trello board and I've changed my mind on it. And it got to the point where I was like, why do I have 3,000 things a day that I feel like I need to put on a to-do list? And then what I'll do is I'll type them in like they're the most urgent thing ever. And the week later, I look at it, I'm like, why did I put that? Why was I so excited about that? That no longer fits where I'm at emotionally and in the stars. So ADHD folks, unite. Every time the wind blows, there's a different thought, idea, opinion, feeling. I won't even remember my pink tote moment probably tomorrow. I'll be out and about in weekend vibes with my kids. I'll be like, oh, that happened. We had a tough moment yesterday, didn't we? Want to talk about it? No? Okay. Ugh, am I even making sense right now? My brother is supposed to be, this is my life. He's ADD too, ready? He's supposed to be on this podcast with me. He hasn't entered. You haven't clicked on the room. You haven't entered the studio.
I was waiting for you to text me to enter.
I text you and I said, I will be in the studio recording. Ready? Read the text. I'm going to start recording now so I can vent on a few things. Pop in at 11.
Yeah, I didn't want to like pop in
I
until
want
you told me to
pop in. 6 minutes late. I want you to pop in.
Oh my God. Goodbye.
Pop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Come on in. Oh, here he is. Here he
This
is.
is so. You see, I didn't just want to pop in like
No,
without
Riverside,
without
which
an
is what I'm
intro.
using. Listen, I
Huh?
just went off the cat. Can we talk about the Casa? We haven't talked about your visit to Casa Bonita. So
Do
I'm going to
people know
start
what
there.
Casa Bonita is?
Hold on. The only reason why I know Casa Bonita is because the kids and I were watching something on YouTube TV, and the Casa, I didn't buy the ad free. Clearly,
Yeah.
YouTube TV has ads on it. And the Casa Bonita remodel, like it's like a train wreck, like the new owners, and they started tearing it apart.
So there's a
And I
document.
looked
There's
at
a documentary out right now on Paramount. So that's probably what you saw the ad to.
I saw the ad. So hear me out. I looked and I didn't know the name, but I looked at the building and I said, you've got to be kidding me. Robbie and I went there on our
No
cross country trip
way.
together.
Wait, what year? Because it was. Let's backtrack here. What year was that?
That was 2000.
So if anybody is from Colorado, they definitely know what Casa Bonita is. It's like what's like the restaurant in Seekonk where we went to as kids and it shut down, Bugaboo Creek.
Bugaboo.
It's like that vibe. Like it's like your small town, kind of not great area restaurant that's like the food's not great. You know, it's not a nice place, but like for some reason, it's like monumental and a great memory and a core memory. And like the talking moose that horrifies you, the tree that comes in and horrifies you, when you have to kiss the moose that horrifies you, like that's Denver's version of our Bugaboo Creek.
You literally were in your Bugaboo Creek
Yeah.
era. Hard.
But like with Casa
Hard.
Bonita, so like obviously it's been around since the 60s. In in the early 2000s, it was, and I always ask people from Colorado this, it was like, you don't go there. That's like it's the worst food. You get food poisoning. It smells like mold. It's like, it's horrible, horrible. Like my friend who lives in Denver, like his parents wouldn't let him go there as a kid because it was so bad. And so that was the early 2000s when you went. How was your experience then?
I have like, how did we even know where we didn't use the internet to find out? We use we
Well,
downloaded MapQuest.
because
So
it's
my
not.
boyfriend and I, my college
Yeah,
boyfriend and I drove his Tahoe with all his crap in it from University of Connecticut to Huntington Beach, California. We drove cross country together. It was, I mean, come on.
yeah.
That's like the Notebook 2000 Nicki and Robbie version. Like I really
Mhm.
should find those tapes. We were the best couple in the world. I stand by that to this day. How did Casa Bonita come on the map for
I don't
us?
know
I
because
have no
one,
idea.
it's outside of Denver, so it's not like, oh, let's stop in town for, and it's also in a really bad part of town, and it's in a strip mall. Like on the side of it is a 99-cent store, a Ross Dress for Less, and like you can cash your checks next door. So it's not in like a notable. It's like, when you go to like, oh, let's go to Federal Hill, let's go to Newberry Street, let's go to like, West Hollywood to eat. It's like, I don't know how you ended up there without planning it or not knowing about it.
Right.
So
So you guys,
that's
just
the
so
thing.
for context of people who have never heard of Casa Bonita, Frankie's got a trucker hat on with Casa Bonita on it. It just brought back major Nicki 21-year-old memories. And there are people in this restaurant, like there's a pool
Well, you
and
have
there's
to get the
divers.
background of it. So it's been around since the 60s, huge Mexican restaurant in Denver. Um, and it kind of ties back into South Park. So it was featured in an episode of South Park where Cartman goes to Casa Bonita and kidnaps Butters and hides him in a bomb shelter so he can go to Casa Bonita with his friends. Cause he was like, there was 5 people and he was like the odd one out. And they were like, oh, if one person in the group bails, you can take his place. So he kidnaps one of the people in the group and hides him in a bomb shelter so he can go to Casa Bonita. So that episode with South Park, as it's so popular, the owners are from Denver. So they made it, very realistic to the actual Casa Bonita. So when Casa Bonita shut down because it filed for bankruptcy during COVID, the owners of South Park, who are worth, $1.5 billion together, were like, this has been our dream since we were kids. Let's buy Casa Bonita. So
I
no
love
spoilers
it.
in the next 5 seconds. Next 5 seconds, if you watch the documentary, they bought it for $3 million in bankruptcy. They had a budget of $6 million to put back into it. They ended up gunning it and realizing how wrecked it was, how unsafe it was, like how like they were diving, like the cliff divers would dive into the water into like live wire and electronic units, and like they ended up putting $40 million above budget into Casa Bonita to open it, and it took 2 more years. So imagine buying a place and thinking, "Hey, we're going to fix this up for $6 million," and end up having to spend $40 million. Um,
So how was it?
so my friends and I, we've always loved South Park. This has been like our dream to go here since we were like 13, since we first seen the episode. So I had friends fly in from around the country, and we all met in Denver to go strictly to Casa Bonita. So I got a reservation 4 months ago. There was 30,000 people in line in front of me to get a reservation. It was like Coachella, like buying tickets. And I got one. I locked it in. We all bought plane tickets. And what the crazy thing was, they closed down for the first time ever after it opened the day before we went because of a blizzard. So we were really nervous that they were going to cancel our reservation, but they didn't, and we went there, and it was everything and more what we were like expecting. But it's what
I
restaurant do you have cliff divers? You have like this crude a puppet show that you don't know if it's for like adults or kids. Like it's like a kid's puppet show, but then he's like, it's like this talking taco, and then he's like, oh, you know, what's not crunchy or something, like my ex-wife or whatever. It's like, and it's like there's like children there, and it's like what? And then they have a haunted cave, which things pop out at you. They have like an arcade. It's like Disney World and a Mexican restaurant. They have like the characters from
I
South Park all there
cannot.
too. And I brought some of my friends who don't know like what it is, and then some that do, and they were like, "This is the best thing ever." We spent $700 on merch, $700. So this was the first time.
And we're talking about it right now and giving Casa Bonita another
But think
boost
about it.
in
You know how I always didn't get how you like Disney? Like I was never a Disney kid. I never liked going to Disney World. I get Disney adults. I get it now because that was my Disney World. And I get like the hype, like when I pulled up and I saw it and I was like emotional. And then we went in and we started doing everything. It's like, I get how you feel at Disney now. I'm still not going to
Mhm.
Disney. However, I know what you feel now. That's how I related it.
You nailed it. It's not a Disney adult, it's an adult who loves these, like, moments
Yeah.
and these nostalgic connections. Like, that's it. It's joy in simple things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's joy in simple things. You definitely have joy, and you have a Disney personality because you're just as happy to walk the beach that you've been on 1,000 times
Yeah.
on a winter
I
day
just
as
don't
all the
like being
times you've been
around
there
too many
before.
people, like lines and people and like
Right.
the crowds. I'm not a big.
Have you done
Also,
Harry Potter World?
I've been to Harry Potter World. We actually took Mandy, me and Nick. We took our coordinator for her Christmas. We gave her Christmas bonus, obviously, but we also gave her a trip to Harry Potter World. So, like, best boss alert, honestly, me and Nick. Um,
Yes.
we brought her to Harry Potter World, which is so fun because I've never been to Universal living in LA, so that was like actually really fun. But again, LA, the crowds are just it's so
Did you go on
simple.
the fast roller coaster?
Yeah, they were fun. A few of the roller coasters were like panic attack central for me because like there was one where it was just like a screen in front of you and the thing was moving and I'm like, get me off, get me off, get me off, get me off. I just don't like when they come down because like what if that gets stuck? Or, like we're upside like I would die. Like I can't I'm super claustrophobic, so I have like very much trouble with roller coasters and theme parks.
I still haven't watched Harry Potter once ever.
And
Not once.
that's so surprising because you need to.
I
Wait,
feel like
so
my kids deserve
your
it too.
your
Never.
week your week recap. So you've gone into like what you've done in the past week.
No, I started talking about I called you, like, usually this is what happens with Frankie and I, is if I'm in a funk, I always, like, call my brother or
Yeah.
tell you via text.
Well, the past 2 weeks
I
have
just
been
had
insane. Like we did Casa Bonita, then we did Back for which was a crazy week because we had Nessa's album release stuff. So Brie was running around. We had 2 events on Wednesday and Thursday, and then that Thursday night we drove into Palm Springs for a 3-day music festival. Rested for 3 days, and now I just flew to New York, and I've been here since Wednesday night. Fly back. Sorry, go back to Boston on Sunday. Fly back to LA for 5 days, and then back to New York in December
yeah,
for
so I get to
to
see
see you.
I haven't seen you yet, but I get to see you.
You get to see me on Monday, and hopefully we can do something. But
Yes.
it's been nonstop.
Yes.
It's been nonstop.
Yeah, it has been nonstop. So I was feeling overwhelmed with motherhood stuff. So picture what's happening here is you got me who's like home and I am completely on my kids' schedule
Mhm.
and I barely leave the house, especially this time of year when it gets cold. And then you've got my brother who's living the dream of like the 20s and traveling and all these events.
Yeah.
So when I vent to him, he's a good voice of reason because he'll also won't give me the like when mom to moms kind of vent or go through things, we're all like, oh my God, we're the same people going through the same
Mhm.
struggles. And when I talk to Frankie, you're more like, what do you think you've been like to me since I've become a mom? And we're talking 10 years. How has that like changed? I guess the first question is, how has motherhood changed me the most? And then also, how do you help me get out of my own way
Mhm.
when I'm doing the head case thing? So those are two questions.
Well, I think it's what I say always. Like the things you do are working. You're growing. Your fans are reassuring and your followers are reassuring that your content's good. So it's like I think you are such a person that reads into the 0.111% or 0.1% of like negative feedback that you get and you
Mhm.
or if like a video doesn't go viral or something. And I think you look at that small percentage of things that maybe don't work and don't look at like the bulk of what you've built, which is not only amazing social platforms, but like you've built a community, which is very hard. I don't think 99% of creators can do that. I think you have. And you've built a family, you've built a circle, you've built a conversation, which is very, very, very hard to do. But also it's not teachable. It's a fundamental that you've always had even before we've started working together, and it's something you've developed in your life, which is like I can't teach that. So you don't give yourself enough credit ever. um so that's why I try to.
Yeah, but I'm saying even on like the personal side, outside of work.
I mean, I just like I like that we can talk more and spend more time together, and I think that's my favorite part of it too. Like
Yeah.
I just like spending time with the family. I'm excited to make content when I come home. I feel like I don't make content really when I'm in LA because it's just so much more fun with
Yeah.
the crazy fam. And
Yes.
I want to start posting more in my stuff too. Like I think like like the videos are so funny. Like the grave video with Wendy, like that's just so funny. We need to do more hotel room videos. Like that's it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
again, it's the stuff we used to do before social media even started, and we're just now posting it.
We have
Like
to yeah, we have to bust
and
out some of
we
those
have to
videos.
bust out the TBTs, like the like those videos in the early 2000s and even like the 90s. It's like we were making this content before, computers even existed, which is wild
Yes.
to think about.
Yes. All right, let's talk music because you always have had a passion for music. Like you have these artists that you know that I've never heard of, like
Mhm.
Chelsea Cutler. I had
Mhm.
never heard of her until you. And then I'm like majorly geeking out about Gracie Abrams right
Oh
now.
yeah, she's awesome. She's super awesome.
Love.
Yeah, I think she just played an LA show too. I mean, like I'm super into the EDM scene, so like house music, like bass, like all that. But I mean, like the feel good music, and also like the sad girl music, like the Lana Del
Yeah.
Rey's, the Jeremy Zuckers, the Chelsea Cutlers of the world, the Sam Fenders of the world. Like I've been getting more the Noah Kahns of the world. Obviously, like the new like I feel like Tom Brady left Boston and Noah Kahn took over as king of New England. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like he's
that's
eh,
so
I
cute.
just like I like the band of people that like kind of just get around Noah Kahn. And I was late to the party for sure, but I think I got on the bandwagon and I'm like, that's like my homesick song. Like, have you listened to Noah Kahn?
Oh, God,
Oh my
yes.
god, so good.
Yes.
Like, so
Yes.
good.
So me and the kids get I think we're ahead of you for like the trendy stuff because you listen to the stuff that's not necessarily trending first.
No,
And then you'll
no.
find these like abstract kind of like
Yeah.
hidden gems from the artist that I'm like, "Oh, I know of
What are
course
your
I know
thoughts
him."
on, Charlie XCX?
And I don't really like I'll be honest with you, my the kids and I listen to all
Yeah.
like what's
I mean,
happening now music and that's one
it's
that
not a
we
very
always
kid-friendly, like I don't even
nothing
wanna
is.
call it an
Sabrina
album.
Carpenter we love and she's not kid friendly.
Who?
It's
Sabrina
just
Carpenter?
Sabrina Carpenter.
But you can, like,
Her lyrics, sometimes women are like, "Don't let you don't wanna listen to that," and I'm like,
no,
"We're listening to it."
she's honestly
I
on the, like, okay side. Charlie, I would say, is,
yeah,
like,
right.
not on the okay side.
We don't like so the kids where Layla gets the most influence is a lot of my closest friends have teenage daughters.
Okay.
So Layla, like, looks up to, Ava and Ori and Mariella and all these, like, amazing young women who are great influences,
Mhm.
but one of them listens to, like, a lot of Drake and stuff and Charlie X and my kids were like, "Oh, is this reminds me of the music Ava had on in the car because it's like, I can't do the rap stuff,
Yeah, also rap's just not clean for
but it's like, ba
kids.
ba 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 ba,"
Yeah,
and
yeah,
my brain let me describe it, my brain is already like that,
yeah.
so when it's going against my squirrely brain, it
I
just
do.
makes it
I
worse.
have started listening to music that like actually calms me down because I used to listen to music like dubstep and heavy like trap and stuff that like and rap that's like gets me going. I'm like, actually, it's nice to listen to things that like can help me breathe and help me focus and not have to bring me up. So I've been doing the sad girl music for sure.
Did you see our girl Megan Moroney got,
Hmm.
new artist of the year?
Yeah, good for her. She's phenomenal. Like phenomenal,
We
phenomenal.
saw her open up for, Kenny Chesney, and we both were like, "She's so cute, we
Yeah.
loved her."
Oh, I was thinking about Kenny last night. I was talking about Kenny yesterday. That was such a fun concert. But we have to look at that.
Such a fun concert. By the
It's
way, we have a
crazy.
vlog that, like, the vlog is way underrated. I can't believe it doesn't have more views on YouTube. YouTube's so weird,
Yeah,
but our vlog deserves more love. It's really good.
yeah, they need
Did
to
you watch Did you even watch it
yeah,
yet?
of course. I always watch it. I've
Okay.
watched it, like, a few
Alright.
times. I love that vlog.
Okay, just making sure.
I liked yeah,
Um
I liked it.
And then, like, one more thing. So I feel better already. I was
Ooh.
feeling down and out because I had a tough moment with Layla. And you know how we come from the family of like, you don't leave the house mad. We're good at a quick turnaround. We're a quick
Yeah,
turnaround family. If there's a tough moment, it could be 20 minutes later and it's like nothing
yeah. I mean,
happened.
I like talk like, you do you ever talk to people that it's like, "Wow, I haven't talked to my mom in, like, a few years because we got in this big fight." I'm like,
Oh God. No. I mean,
"Oh,
mom and I have had our
I could
moments, but like
never imagine holding a grudge." I don't really hold grudges. I hold grudges, but I act on them. That's different, actually. I do hold
I
grudges, but I'll
I
continuously
hold
act on them.
right. I
Like,
hold
you'll know I'm holding a grudge on you. I'm not gonna be, like, keeping it.
yeah. Right. I don't hold grudges, but I do build up resentment, which is something I have to work on. So if
Yeah.
something something could still be bothering me from I think deep down, I'm gonna own something. I think deep down what I'm in my let go of era right now is that you were born to mom and a different dad, and you had this like perfect,
Mhm.
structured childhood with two parents in the same home who both were so strong at parenting in their own different ways. Like you had a dad whose emotional intelligence and presence is so strong,
Mhm.
and you have Wendy, the same mom as me. And I think deep down, watching her with that type of partner, I think I always like was envious of it.
I
But
mean,
instead of being envious,
I
I
don't see
just
why you
became
wouldn't
more
be, you know?
but I just became instead of saying that, because mom doesn't do well. If I'm like, Mom, I'm you jealous, she'd be like, get over it.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
jealous,
but also to
anxious.
her,
Yeah.
yeah, to also to her point, what was she supposed to do? Not
Yeah.
move forward in her life because of my feelings. So I'm now at an era where I'm
Mhm.
seeing both sides. But so let's talk about that. You and I grew up completely differently. People see me and they see you and they're like, oh my God, the strongest genes ever. Some people still to this point on social media don't realize we have two different dads.
Yeah. And it's funny
We're
'cause
18 years apart, two different dads. So talk about what it was like to grow up because I am good at telling everybody the mental load of the family goes on the woman
Mhm.
and the woman is doing everything and we're doing all the invisible labor. Let's talk about wonderful fathers for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think we got into Wendy a lot of, because she was like that was I think the only really big conflict because we again like we talked about like me going through puberty and her going through menopause at the same time, which was like a canon, like it was just like
Yeah. Yeah.
firecrackers in a barrel.
Mom's a tough cookie, but she's
Oh
also
no, but we
our
have so much fun.
biggest
Like I
Mama Bear
yeah.
raving fan. Like, there's no
That
doubt
was the
about it.
emotional
She's
side of it, but when it comes to day to day, like, amazing. Like, I've never complained about my parents. I've never wished I had different parents. I've never wished I was in a different situation, which is I just think is kind of rare too. Like,
yeah.
I know, and I think, you talked about me being envious, but like, it's also good when you're envying somebody, they know what they have. Like, do you ever envy somebody and they don't realize how good they have it? Do you know what I mean? And then that pisses you off even more. Like,
I think people feel
like,
like
I
that
hear I
about
hear people
us.
complain about things, and I'm like, I'm envious
Yeah.
of that thing, and I'm like, "No, no, no. No, no, no. You shouldn't be
But
complaining."
Frankie, if you look at my last post on mom when she's here and she's checking the thing and she's checking the telling me my shingles need to be done and checking the
It's
fire,
so funny because I
the
wish there was some way in social media that, like, you could, like I could get her phone call, like, after that, like, when she went to you, and then, like, record it because it was like she vented to me about your smoke detector and your candles.
of course she did. Of course she did. But to your point, people in my comment section were like, this is giving me mom issues because I don't have that relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
Or my mom is no longer here. I am living vicariously. So yeah, the perspective thing, people want a mom like Wendy.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we have it and we bitch about it sometimes,
No,
but
I just try to again, it's like a big personality, like, cluster F, like, but and it's a lot
yeah,
of energy to get through, but at the end of the day, like, I love her, I will go to bed loving her, I'll wake up loving her, and
right.
that's really what matters. But with Frank
And that's
and,
all we want for our kids.
like
And that's all I want
yeah,
for my kids
I
is
mean,
that they
going
still
back to
want to be
Frank
around
too, you
me.
just have a natural nurture, teddy bear, caring, selfless, loyal human being in the purest form, but also super fun, super party, like, rock star, like, has classic cars, like the coolest dude you've ever seen, but just and also at the same time, like, you have that, like, rock of the family, which is awesome. But you got a dude with,
Yeah.
tons of antique cars. Remember he had the ponytail and he has two
Yeah.
bands and he, like, will twerk with the band.
But talk about growing up as a male with a strong father figure because unfortunately, that's like the unicorn like from at least from social media. I don't think these like wonderful dads are up on social media talking about, how to be a great father. It's usually the scorned people who are the face of social media.
Mhm.
But you grew up with an amazing present dad. How did that transit like late into your adult life? Like what are the things you notice now that you maybe didn't notice when you were like 21 and you're living on the opposite side of the country? So you're completely independent
Yeah.
from
I see, I don't know what it is about me, but, like, I see it in other people who did not have that relationship that are kind of a little bit out of touch with reality or have those self-esteem or insecurities or, like, I hate to use the word daddy issues because it's like it's,
no, those are real.
yeah, it is. It's I just don't like I don't know, I don't like the phrase. I think it should be a different phrase,
Right.
but, um, I see it more in other people, and then I see, like, I don't really see it in myself because I feel very normal. Like I feel very like I had a great childhood. I've been taken care of. I got everything I needed to be successful and to have emotional stability to a point. Um, and then I really see how it affects other people and emotionally, and that like makes me upset that they didn't have the same thing I did. And I'm very grateful. I go to bed every day thanking God that I have like great parents and great nurture. But again, it's like it's hard to see in my own self and look in the mirror on that. It's easier to see in other people how much it affects them because they didn't have that relationship. You know, it's like
Yeah. So if you were talking to, because we're gonna have a lot of moms listening to this, a lot of women who want to consider kids
yeah.
someday or are raising a stepson, or there's so many different dynamics, but let's just say we're talking to other adults who care about raising good kids, even if they're teachers. Like, what are some things that you could say, three things that made you who you are? And when I say who you are, driven,
Mhm.
loving, your friends freaking adore you, your family adores you, and what, like, well adjusted, like you.
Yeah, I think with Wendy and Frank, they taught me how to bring a community together. We were constantly around them bringing people together in any aspect, in events, in parties, in social groups, in communities, in politics, and everything. So like I grew up with two parents that brought a lot of people into the room, and I think I strive to do that. And I bring friend groups together. I bring communities together.
You do.
And I've done that my entire life. And a lot of like people have met through me. A lot of like on the networking side, on the friendship side, on the group of friends side, like I've always been really, really passionate about, bringing people together. Another thing is like, I had rules. I didn't have too many rules. Like you always see, like, and I went to high school with like, the kids who had the helicopter parents. And those were the kids that were sneaking out. And those were the kids that were getting in trouble. Those were the kids that were like, in jail or like driving drunk or doing drugs or doing something crazy. I had them very loose, like, hey, let me, like, Wendy and Frank were like, let me know what you're doing. No drinking and driving, be home in a reasonable hour. Don't be stupid. Don't like you
Yeah.
see what happens
Yeah.
to stupid people, but it was never like I didn't have like a curfew. I didn't have like, you need to check
Right.
your phone, like helicopter. I never felt like in my childhood that I had to act out. And I think Wendy and Frank, I don't even think they knew how to do this because it was their kind of first time around raising a child in this situation, but they did it so well or, naturally to not make me feel pressured or not make me feel like I needed to act out or break rules. I was very, I had fun, I partied, I did whatever, but like I never broke the law. I never was a rule breaker. Like I never got in trouble at school. I was pretty good. And I always focused on sports and academics. And I had fun with my friends. We partied, we drank in high school, we had parties and whatever. Nobody, we always had the keys, the bowl with the keys. We always had like whatever. And it's like,
Yes,
you
you
know,
did. You always ran the bowl of
but
keys.
then but then we saw the people with like the helicopter parents, and those were the kids that were really acting out the most. So,
Parents, you need to hear this because I am a walking like, I was raised where my parents literally believed in me and my decision-making ability so much so that I didn't
yeah.
have a curfew. I was the one who always wanted to be the driver
Mhm.
because I only trusted
Me too.
myself driving,
Yeah.
and I knew I would not drink, but if my friends did or they were doing what I would drive them. So it's like I wasn't demanded to be that person, but by having this feeling of my parents know they can rely on me, it's like a reverse psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I
like
think
I
I think the
believed that
biggest
I was reliable because they believed that I
Well,
was.
that's what I felt too, and I was never scared of my parents. I feel like a lot of people are scared of their parents, like, what are they gonna be mad? I was scared of disappointing them. Like, I knew if I was gonna get in a situation like, I remember I got
Yeah.
1 detention in middle school, and I was so sad that I just, like, disappointed my family. I was not mad that I was gonna get grounded. I wasn't mad that my phone was gonna get taken away. I wasn't mad I was gonna get, like, a belt. Like, whatever, hypothetical belt. I was mad that, I got in the car and, Frank was like, I'm disappointed in you. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't get grounded. I didn't get whatever, but like that hurt more. I
Right.
would rather be grounded than hear
Right.
from your dad that, he's disappointed.
But also where they were disciplined,
Mhm.
and we probably didn't even realize it, is they didn't nag you or put that issue on you about, like, going out and safety and being responsible, but guess what they did make you responsible for? When your grandparents walk in the house, you come greet them.
Mhm.
When your grandparents are at the house, you sit down and you have dinner with them.
Manners.
You call your grandparents before bed. You spent grandma's entire life calling her every single night before bed, even when you traveled.
Mhm.
So, like, they didn't make you do that, but they raised you in an environment where that was expected. And I know for me, I have to work on that because there's sometimes
But
my
you just
dad
said the
or my
key
mom.
word, they didn't make you. They've never made me do anything, but they've
Right.
done it really well where it's like they've influenced and like pushed me in the right direction, but they've never said you are doing this. You
No,
know what
it's
I
been
mean?
more like I remember when you were little, mom being like, "Frankie, let's go. Put the phone away. Get out here. Your
Yeah.
grandparents are here."
Just
It was
little
more like
like
that.
little cues, little cues. Yeah. And I would pick
And
up
I
on it.
notice, like, I notice myself, there's things that go over my head, and part of it is I think it's harder when you have a one-parent household, right, to, like, remember all the things, so that's my a little bit defending myself, but there are times that mom gets here or my dad gets here, so my kids' grandparents, and my kids just keep doing what they were doing, whether it's on the couch or on their game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wow,
That
I
would not
gotta, like,
fly. That would not fly.
I gotta ins" right? It wouldn't, and I just those are the things that I'm getting harder and harder on myself for because I know the importance of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you and I were both raised with that.
Yep, I agree. I agree. That would
So
not fly in the households. We always and
right?
I think technology is a big factor too. There's so much noise, there's so many distractions. There's an iPhone, there's an iPad, there's a Game Boy. Like I didn't have that.
No, I know,
I
it's
also didn't
silly.
play video games. So like I was never glued to anything. Like I was not even TV.
Yeah,
Like when did I ever watch when was I playing video games? I was always outside. And
you
also,
were
like,
always outside,
Frank gave me the things to have a fun lifestyle. Like, I had that truck, remember we used to drive it around at the farm. We had, like, the tree house. We had out, like, basketball hoops, soccer hoops. So, like, when my friends came over, we never sat and played video games. Like, we would go outside and play.
but also, I'm gonna call parents out right now. Do you remember when Frank was with you, him ever scrolling his phone?
No, not once.
Never was he distracted when he was with you,
No, completely. I didn't think about that until now, completely focused on me and the moment and the situation.
and I feel like more and more parents are feeling like that's impossible, and I don't know how to I'm not speaking for dads. I feel like us moms are scrolling this even when we don't want to be because we're scheduling an appointment or we're getting back to somebody or we're getting back to the school, we're emailing back somebody that had to do with their soccer equipment. And I realize at night, I'm like, I need to spend more time with them where this is not there. I'm owning it. So I just think it's important for us to have the conversation because you and I, if there's any secret sauce that I want to give to the internet, it's that I grew up a very happy kid
Mhm.
and I grew up a very strong, resilient, happy adult. And I think what you see a lot on the internet is people trying to break generational curses, people trying to, fix, be cycle breakers for their kids. And
But
if there's
the
anything I'm trying
pendulum's
to do, it's
always
I'm trying to
going
trickle some of our childhood into my kids.
the pendulum's always gonna swing in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? Like, especially now
Yeah.
too, it's like when I was in high school, I was gone from 6:30 AM to 6:30 PM at night. I had after school stuff, I was at a friend's house, I was running around somewhere crazy, I was at sports, I was doing, school. Now it's like I feel like kids are home all the time. Like, it's like, where's
Or they right, but this is what society is telling us. They're either home all the time and they're on their electronics and they're now outside on their bikes,
Yeah.
or they're doing too much. There's too many sports, there's too many organized activities. Parents are spending all this money on youth sports. It's like, can we talk like, can we find what then what?
Yeah.
Then what? Where's the happy medium?
Mhm.
So I've tried this past summer was the best summer we've ever had with creating a village. I've got my neighbor friends behind us. I've got friends that I'm like, kid
Yes,
swap.
that's good.
Let's let the kids play as much as possible, to the point where I took their electronics the other day. I said, go be creative, because your brains are not creative on these devices right now. And I had a Wendy moment, and
Mhm.
it's needed. But all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, can we pick our battles? Because now they're riding on the bike. One of them is on the street, no helmet on the bike,
Yeah.
barefoot on the bike. And the other one tied a rope to one of those dollies that you go change your oil on, like the little wheelie
Oh, yeah,
dollies.
we used to tie one of those behind a Dodge Ram pickup truck at 13 in the snow and tow our friends around and drift around in circles. Don't know how anybody didn't die, but, like, we
Right.
did
But
it.
and then there's me. Then there's me having to, because my son's like, it's not a big deal, mom. There's no, and you know how I got him to put his helmet on? And actually, you know how I got him to drive in the driveway and not in the road when I wasn't out there? Which you and I were we could I used to run down our weavy, windy road like
Yeah,
nothing.
but
Mom never
people, because
worried. Now
I
she
would
wouldn't
I
want me
wouldn't
out
want my
there.
kids in the road. People are all everybody's like this on driving.
Correct. Correct. So
Everybody.
that's another thing that parents are dealing with, is it's just the roads aren't safe.
It's not safe.
So what I said to Chase, you know what got him off out of the road?
What?
I said, "Bud, you know how you want a dog?" And he's like, "Yes, badly want a dog." Which I think might be therapeutic for me, but like also no.
Nope, not
Um,
letting you do that.
but I got him, I said, "You know how you want a dog?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Would you let your dog run in the road right now?" He goes, "No." And then he looked at me like this. Like I said, "So you're my child, and how you feel about the dog that you don't have, you get it?" And he's just
Yeah.
like, I mean,
So
you
funny.
really have to have a toolkit out for all these moments in
I love
parenthood.
that.
But
I love that.
well, I love you, and I can't wait to see you this week. We're gonna
I
film
know.
stuff. We're gonna do stuff. We're gonna be ridiculous.
I love you. I'm excited. I'll see you on Monday.
Okay. Oh, I have to end with this.
What?
Do we? A lot of people are upset with you that you didn't prep me for how I dressed at the Netflix thing.
Oh God, Nikki, I was just surprised because you always look great, and I don't even think I had to tell you, but that was a little insane. Like that was like Royal Caribbean sales position. Like where'd you pull
That's
that
what I
off?
said. I go, I would take travel agents
That was
on a ship tour that
what's wrong with
outfit.
that. Like that's the thing. I didn't like. I knew you would dress always well, but like I didn't even imagine that you would pull that out of the depths of your closet. The kids are fine. I don't care. The kids don't need to be whatever. Like that was cute because they're kids and it's a kids event. But like you're not selling insurance. You're on a red carpet. Like even if it's a screening, even if it's stepping out of the house, what was that? We're ending on that.
Look at me. No, we're ending on that. And also, like, I think I need a style, like a subscription box or something.
Stitch
Let's look
Fix.
into that. Well, listen, I love them. I changed my platform, my portfolio on it. So anyway, I love you.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye. Love you.
Thanks for being here, Holly
Mwah.
girl. Stay for more. Oh, he left. He dipped out. I'm still here. I love you guys. Thanks for listening.